Welcome to the virtual classroom today. We will discuss the chapter The Third Level by Jack Finney from Vistas. In this video, you will be introduced to the writer and his work, the setting of the story, the entire story in a nutshell, also lines which are important and central to develop an understanding of the chapters have been mentioned. So let's get started. Our writer Jack Finney was an American author. He has written a catalogue of short stories, plays, collection of short stories as well. He is best known for science fiction and thrillers, and two works which he is very popular for are The Body Snatchers and Time and Again. Time and Again was considered to be Finney's greatest work with science fiction, which involves time travel to the past, a theme that he has experimented in his short stories earlier. Also, we see that the story that we are going to do, the third level, also deals with time travel of our protagonist Charlie. The third level was published in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction in October 1952. I would quote Winston Churchill, who said, "War is mainly a catalogue of blunders." And this stands true, especially for the two world wars which shook mankind to its roots. War not only demands sacrifice but gives suffering in return. The two world wars back to back made our lives so insecure and stressful that man wanted to escape from the troubles by daydreaming of traveling back to the pre-war time. Our narrator in the story, Charlie, a New Yorker, does the same to escape the harsh realities of life. Let's see the story in a nutshell. Everyone thought that there were only two levels at the Grand Central Station, but Charlie knew that there was a third level, and according to him, if one could find it by taking the right twists and turns down corridors and stairs, one would discover that the third level transported one to 1894. Both Charlie's wife and his psychiatrist friend were worried that he was losing his grip on reality. His friend felt that it was a waking dream. It was something that Charlie had longed to do in reality but couldn't. It was his way of seeking wish fulfillment. He continued saying that in the present world, people had insecurities, fears, wars, and worries which they wished to escape. Sam also believed that Charlie's hobby of collecting stamps was also a temporary refuge from reality. However, Charlie did not agree with his friend's views because he felt that his grandfather, who had also pursued the same hobby, didn't need any escape from realities as things were quite peaceful then, and neither did the President Roosevelt, who also collected stamps. In the Grand Central Station, Charlie always collided into new doorways, new stairs, and corridors. Once earlier he had got into about a mile-long tunnel and came out into the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel, and another time he had come out in an office building on 46th Street. He felt that Grand Central was like a tree from where new corridors and staircases emanated like roots. Hence, when he hit this tunnel, there was nothing unusual about it. He felt that for many people, Grand Central was an exit, a way of escape, though he had never told his psychiatrist friend about it. According to Charlie, it all happened the previous summer when he had worked late at the office and was in a hurry to get back home to his wife Louisa. Hence, he decided to take the subway from the Grand Central because it was faster than the bus. The narrator then introduces himself as an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31-year-old, wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. He turned into Grand Central, went down the steps to the first level, and then another flight of stairs to the second level, where he went through an arched doorway towards the subway and got lost. The corridor he was in kept angling left and slanting downward, but nevertheless he kept walking. He was not a person around, and the only sound that he could hear was of his own footsteps. However, soon he heard a hollow roar, which was an indication of an open space and people talking. Then the tunnel turned sharply to the left from where he went down a flight of steps and reached the third level of the Grand Central Station. For a moment, he thought that he was on the second level, but realized that the basic structures were different here. In the third level, the room was smaller, there were fewer ticket windows and train gates, and the information booth in the center was wooden and old looking. He then noticed the man in the information booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors, which he realized were because of the old flame gas lights. Charlie noticed brass spittoons on the floor. He also saw that a man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. He wore a derby hat, a black four-button suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black handlebar moustache. But then everybody at the station were dressed similarly, and it seemed they were dressed for the 19th century. The locomotive also seemed to belong to the same era. The Certain what he was thinking, he walked up to a newsboy. The newspaper was The World that had not been published for years. The lead story of the newspaper was about President Cleveland, and the date was of June 11th, 1894. And after seeing that, he confirmed that he had traveled to 1894. He went to the ticket window to buy tickets that would take Louisa and him to Galesburg, Illinois. He wanted to visit that wonderful town with big old frame houses, huge lawns, and fabulous trees that roofed the streets. And on summer evenings in 1894, people sat out in the lawns, the men smoking cigar and talking quietly, the women waving the palm leaf fans with the fireflies all around in the peaceful world. So in 1894, Galesburg was a peaceful and a beautiful place. But the clerk did not accept his currency. He felt that Charlie was trying to con him. Charlie retreated quickly as the idea of going to the jail terrified him. This was his experience at the third level. Next day, Charlie bought old style currency at a premium by paying extra money. That worried his psychiatrist friend. He had got fewer old style bills, 200 old style for $300, but didn't care as things were pretty cheap in 1894. But though Charlie tried repetitively, he couldn't find the corridor that led to the third level at the Grand Central Station. He tried many times to locate the same place, but he failed. Louisa, his wife, was worried and did not want him to look for the third level anymore. She felt that he was losing his sanity. Charlie stopped looking for it and went back to his old hobby of stamp collection. But much to his surprise, Louisa and Charlie got proof of the existence of the third level with the disappearance of their friend Sam Weiner, whom Charlie thought had gone back to Galesburg of 1894. Let's let's first see what is a first day cover. Whenever a new stamp is issued, the stamp collectors buy some and use them to mail envelopes to themselves on the very day of the sale, the first day of the sale, and the postmark on the envelope proves the date of the issue, and this is called the first day covers. These are never opened and they are generally blank papers in the envelope. Now, coming back to the mystery of the first day covers, it happened that one night when Charlie, among his oldest first day covers, found one cover that was unfamiliar. It carried his grandfather's address of his home in Galesburg on the cover. The envelope was stamped July 18, 1894, but Charlie did not seem to remember it at all. When he opened, he found a letter inside that which was addressed to him. It was from Galesburg and was written on July 18, 1894. It was from his friend Sam, the psychiatrist. It said that Sam had found the third level and had been there for 2 weeks. He wanted Charlie and Louisa to keep looking for the third level and find it, as it was worth the trouble that they would take to find it. When Charlie went to the stamp and coin store, which he generally visits, he came to know that Sam had bought $800 worth of old currency, and Charlie felt that it was enough for him to settle there in feed and grain business because Sam had wanted to do this for a very long time. And also, Charlie felt that now Sam's profession would be of no use because in 1894 people did not want a psychiatrist. So the last line of the story is very important, which projects the fact that the pre-war time were peaceful, were enjoyable, were stress-free. People did not face any mental issues which happened post-war. So psychiatrists had business after the war and not before the war in 1894. It was not a profession known in 1894. Stay connected for the second part of the video, which will have different types of questions, characters. Thank you for watching this.